I want to be able to look at TCU and say, look at that. It's a Big 12 title contender. Don't remember. No. Let's start that over. Don't forget. Definitely remember, TCU is the last Big 12 team to make the national championship game. That magical run with Max Duggan and Quentin Johnston back when he could actually catch footballs, that was quite the season. And it was TCU that was there. And since then, not as good. But very quietly, TCU was a 9-game winner last year. They went 6-3 in the Big 12. This is a team that absolutely has the ability to get to the Big 12 championship game. It won't shock me if they're there. It won't shock me whatsoever because the Horned Frogs have a staff who I do believe in because I've seen them win. Sonny Dykes is a good coach. Andy Avalos came in as the defensive coordinator. More on him in just a moment. He did make them better statistically, but more steps still need to be taken. You've got a quarterback who might be my favorite in the Big 12. And frankly, Josh Hoover is the biggest reason why I want to be bullish on TCU. I want to be the guy going out there saying, you know what? TCU is going to make the Big 12 championship game. And for those of you on YouTube, you can see these are my preseason Big 12 power rankings. I have TCU at number 7, one slot behind Utah at number 6. I believe anyone in the top 7 can make the Big 12 championship game. Maybe Kansas at 9 can sneak in there, but they scarred me too hard last year. So I'm not going to go back down that rabbit hole once again just yet. So I do think TCU can get there because they had a bounce back season after that 5-7 year off the national runner-up season. It was, a big letdown. A big letdown for the Horned Frogs, or at least a big step back to go from national championship game to getting blown out, 5-7. Yeah, that's not exactly how they drew it up. The reason I don't love TCU, I have questions about what the talent is on the defensive side of the ball. They did not bring in some gangbusters transfer portal class to radically alter what they're doing on that side. Andy Avalos, the defensive coordinator, former Boise State head coach and Oregon defensive coordinator before that, he's going to have to just be better schematically and get his guys more prepared to go on game days. Because in TCU's 4 losses last year, here are the number of points they allowed in those games. They averaged around 25 per game allowed on the season. In their 4 losses, they allowed 35, 66, 30, and 37. They gave up 160 yards per game on the ground. That has to change completely. You need to get under 120 rushing yards per game minimum to take a sizable step forward. And you can't go out and in your losses look back and go, well, the offense scored a lot of points, but the defense gave up on average. I didn't average those 4 numbers together, admittedly, but 35, 66, 30, and 37? I mean, oh boy. Those are just way too big numbers. Now, the encouraging thing for TCU is they do have Josh Hoover back, who reportedly had some offers or interest to go to the SEC. There was that brief moment in time, understandably, where Tennessee lost Nico and wanted to go get Josh Hoover. But again, Tennessee will still be a top 25 team, even though they were trying to get somebody else at quarterback than the guy they have. Anyway, I'll just throw that out there, going back to the first segment on today's show. Hoover's a guy I really like. Almost 4,000 yards last year. Needs to cut down on the turnovers. 11 interceptions is too many. Would like to see that down in the 6 to 8 range. But this is a guy who can spin it, can make every throw on the field, has got a really good arm. I like Josh Hoover a lot. He might be my favorite quarterback in the Big 12. I'd have to put some hardcore thought into it. I don't know if I can come up with a guy in the league, even though there are some really good ones, who's legitimately just straight up better that I'd rather have. So that's a good starting point. A staff that I think is good, but definitely has a question mark on the defensive side of the ball, and a quarterback that I really like. Now, they returned 3 offensive linemen. That's good. They don't return a lot else on the offensive side of the ball. So they're replacing a lot from a season ago. I don't love that. I don't love that they didn't go out and have a Texas Tech type of offseason. Do they have the funds to do it? Probably not. Cody Campbell's certainly a valuable guy that not everyone has access to at their university when going and seeking to make the best offseason acquisitions that they can. But TCU's transfer portal class ranks 53rd nationally. Their last 3 recruiting classes have been in the top 25 to 40 range. So you should have some solid talent on that side of the ball. But do you have defensive game records? That's what I'm wondering. Is your scheme just going to be so good that your defense goes out and produces at a higher level? That's what I'm wondering. That's what I need. But in the offseason right now, until the TCU defense shows me they can really go out and play at a significantly higher level, especially in big games, I can't pick them to go to the Big 12 championship game. I am taking them to go over their win total of 6.5, which I think is I think that's way too low, and rooted in respect for their first game on the road at North Carolina, which I think they're going to win comfortably over Bill Belichick. Abilene Christian, ask Texas Tech how much you should sleep on Abilene Christian there. They slept on them a little bit last year, and it didn't go particularly well. But SMU's a game where they gave up 66 points, a season high last year. That's their 3rd game. I think that's a 3-0 start. I think TCU should be in the top 25 after their non-conference slate where they play a pair of ACC teams, one of which on the road. Then they go at the reigning Big 12 champs, Arizona State. I think that's a loss. Colorado, I think, is a win at Kansas State, who I think makes the Big 12 championship game this year. I think that is a loss for TCU. This is where it gets dicey. This is where I am putting some serious, legitimate faith in the TCU staff, and I'm not going to be surprised if I'm wrong here. Okay, my surprise loss for TCU this year is at BYU, a team who, as you heard earlier on today's show, if you were listening or watching, and I appreciate you doing that, by the way, I'm not particularly bullish on without Jake Retzloff there at quarterback because I don't know, really. No one truly knows what you're going to be able to get from the quarterback position at BYU. Lavelle Edwards Stadium is always rocking, is always a tough place to play. That feels like a crazy Big 12 upset potential to me. But before that, I'm putting TCU down for 3 straight wins. Baylor, at West Virginia, Iowa State. The home road splits here are massive. To have 2 Big 12 title contenders coming to your campus and going to a first-year head coach in a West Virginia program that is resetting right now is significantly better than having West Virginia come home and you got to go on the road either to Baylor or Iowa State. I would pick them to lose one of those games. They still could. They still could. Those are the moments where the defense, by the middle to the latter part of the season, has got to be playing better football. I think they close with a couple wins at Houston and Cincinnati. Between Houston and BYU, I almost went Houston. I flipped a coin and landed on BYU. I think that's just going to be a split because I think Houston is a program on the rise. At BYU, things can get crazy. One of those road games, I think TCU's defense might not be quite enough, but that's what it's going to come down to here. I don't have questions about the offense. So I'm sitting here at 9-3. At some point, I might adjust this down to 8-4. I think they go over 6.5. I do. But I really want to like TCU. I do because I am a big time Josh Hoover fan. I just need to see that defense. That defense in the first few weeks is going to show me a lot about whether or not I was right to pick the Horned Frogs to be good or not. At North Carolina, Abilene Christian, who put up 51 points in Lubbock, Texas against the Red Raiders last year, and at home against SMU. If you can give up an average of 25 points per game in those 3 contests, you're doing something right. But if it's in the 35 to 40 point range, that's not going to cut it. So I'm a TCU guy, tentatively. Not Big 12 title. In the discussion, don't think they quite get there.